start a massive project and then realise you've started in completely the wrong place. Hi, my name is Hannah, and you are being welcomed back to the chaos that is this. So I filmed my first episode of this series, Pack or Pass, where I did all of the books beginning with A because I thought alphabetically that would make the most sense. And then I started packing the books that I were packing or passing and realised swiftly that's insanity. And I know you're wondering, but Hannah, that makes so much sense. Do it by letter. You've got loads of books, a massive TBR, 278 books on your TBR. Surely doing an individual episode per letter makes sense. What about the T's? Did you think about the thes? Because I didn't. And then I realised I'm even that is nonsensical, because fundamentally they've got to fit back on these shelves. What I'm packing is 3 Billy bookcases worth of books to move house, and they have to fit on the shelves.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So how am I going to organise them on my shelves once I've got them there? Because it's not alphabetically. It's never been alphabetically. As much as I would love to organise my books alphabetically, could never be me, has never been me. What I do organise my books by is by genre. And also, what about the books that I've read in the same genre? Am I putting them together for the first time ever? Because that's the whole point, right? They need to fit on exactly 3 tall Billy bookcases. And I cannot just buy more books, as I have been doing, the way I have been doing, without taking into consideration the space that I'll have. So we're changing the game. You didn't even see the first one. How do I want to explain this? I essentially have these plastic tubs. I will show you this side, because this side, there's dust in there. This side has a label that says 32 litre underbed box. And don't forget your lid. These 32 litre, doesn't have to be crystal, could be wham. 32 litre will fit an entire shelf of Billy books onto a Billy bookcase. That is how you can get 32 litres worth of books on a shelf this size. Which means, in theory, I have 9 shelves currently. I need 18 of these to fill my 3 books, my 3 new bookshelves, which is fine. I don't have 18 of these, but that's fine because moving is a process. The bookshelves are ordered. I need to start filling boxes so I can move them down, especially because I'm moving counties. Again, love that for me. And I do want to start organising by genre. I want to have all of my books in one place. One, to make filming easier, because I'm going to have a different allocation of time with filming, because I'm going to have my family in the house and I can't just take up a whole room as I have in the past. And there isn't space in the bedroom for me to have my bookshelves in there. So it will be in a shared communal space, and that I have to bear in mind. So it also has to look neat. It cannot just be a mess. It is a rental property. It is something else to bear in mind. So with that in mind, we're going to start nice and easy with my smallest collection, my smallest genre, which is non-fiction. That way I can allocate a certain number of shelves to each genre. So for example, non-fiction only needs 1 shelf. The red non-fiction that I've got only take up 2/3 of a Billy bookcase shelf, which means I do have space for some TBR books. However, what I do not have space for is all of my TBR books. So we're going to Marie Kondo this. We are going to go through the ones that I've already read and try and make space. And then I'm going to pack or pass my TBR to decide which ones I want to keep and which ones I don't actually need to bring with me, so that they fit beautifully on one shelf. And then I will put that in my plastic tub, pack that, that's good to go. And then we'll work out which shelf I want to broach next. I am genuinely concerned about what is going to happen when I hit thrillers, gothics, horrors, fantasy. Because I know I have loads of those, and I know I have them in hardbacks and paperbacks. But that's fine. That's another day's problem. I mean, that's later day's problem because I've also only got 2 weeks. When I started this project, I had 2 months. I've got 2 weeks to do this, so we've got to do it sparse. So let's start with the books that I've already read. I have read Greek Myths. I have read Greek Myths by Jean Menges, which is her beautiful DK edition of Greek mythology. I adore this. I adore this. I have not read, but I wanted to keep together, her Goddess and Heroines book. Now, I'm pretty sure she's just released... just the artwork in this is so pretty. I'm pretty sure she's released a new one of these. And I'm also... yes, they are myths and like non-fiction books. I think I could get away with putting these on a kind of Greek shelf. I know that Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction, who is still on Instagram but is not on YouTube anymore, adore her, has a whole area for myths and fairy tales and things like that. And I think I can spare some shelf space by packing these, but not packing these here. So I'm going to put these to one side. These are probably going to come with me. Let's be honest, they're coming with me. But they're not going to come with me on this shelf. Equally, this book, Warriors, Witches and Women by Kate Hodges, is also coming with me. This was gifted to me by my mum for Christmas, I think maybe 3 years ago. And again, beautiful artwork and amazing kind of like myths from around the world. And I think what I really like about this is it's not Western centric. So really want to keep that one. I think this can live elsewhere on a different shelf. One, because they're really big, they're quite heavy, so it could probably go on a different shelf anyway. Maybe I'll have space with them with my graphic novels, but also just because I think I can keep all my Greeks and myths together. I think that would work better. So we're putting those aside for now. The next book on my list is a signed edition of Before and Laughter by Jimmy Carr. Now, I actually really enjoyed this memoir. I didn't know that Jimmy Carr had had a depressive episode and didn't realise that he's been dealing with depression for years. The more I read comedian memoirs, the more that just seems to be something they're dealing with. That the reason we find them so funny is because we find them so relatable, because they've had mental health issues. It is a signed edition. I was really pleased that I got myself a signed edition. I am removing this. This is the first book that is not... this is a pass for me, purely because, as much as I've really enjoyed Jimmy Carr's comedy in the past, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate that not everyone finds the humour in it because he roasts everyone indiscriminately, right? He makes transphobic, homophobic, sexist, misogynistic, chauvinistic jokes as much as he makes jokes at the expense of men and the patriarchy and things like that. I have found him funny in the past. It's not because I don't find him funny or because I don't think this is a good book. I'm unhauling this purely because he has relatively recently done a paid gig for a pro-Israel political conference, and I appreciate the paycheck was probably too good to pass up. And Jimmy Carr is always working. He's on like every comedian show. So I get it. I don't get it, and I don't think that's okay. So I do not want to support someone that supports pro-Israel. That's a no from me. And I feel like it's that meme of like in Community where it's like, I can excuse racism, but I can't excuse this.
I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty.
You can excuse racism.
It's like, I can excuse the sexism, but I can't excuse this type vibe. It's not staying on my shelves. Equally, I have in my TBR another book by Jimmy Carr. This is by Lucy Grooves as well, and it's called The Naked Jape. This I got from a charity shop because I wanted to learn how to write jokes. I wanted to learn how to write comedy and maybe some stand-up comedy. I'm unhauling this one as well. I'm sure there are other resources and other ways that I can learn how to do that don't require having Jimmy Carr on my shelves. So I am removing both of those. Those are both passes. Next is Billy Notemates by Max Dickens. Now, I read this really, really recently, and this is a non-fiction by Cannon Gates all about the male loneliness epidemic, but not as the internet would have you believe it. So this is not about, oh, women have made us really lonely type vibe. This is why are men lonely? Why are men not capable of making and keeping friends? What is it about men? Would you believe, TDR, it's the patriarchy, but it's a really interesting, anecdotal and funny book. I really, really liked this. And actually, anyone who has a partner who is worried about making friends in new places, or just generally seems to be the only person that they hang out with is you, I think it'd be a really good read. I think it's really informative and really interesting, but also because it's written by a comedian, it's also quite funny as well. So it's a light-hearted, good time non-fiction with a really happy ending. So that was nice. So yes, that one, pack. We're packing that one. Then I have 3 of James A. Caster's books. This one was gifted to me by Hannah from Bookworm's Feast because she knows how much I really, really enjoy these. I have done all of these as audiobooks as well as read them. And to be honest, I feel like they are books that I would reread. There are some that I would reread more than others. Like I really want to reread Perfect Sound Whatever because this is about James A. Caster's journey, I believe through 2016. Yes, so he looks at the music that came out in 2016 and how amazing that year was for music. And I feel like I really want to go back through and actually listen to all of the albums that he recommends and maybe find some music that I missed. Can't believe I just said music instead of music, but there you go. So yeah, that's one I'm quite keen to reread. Classic Scrapes is just classic. And then this one was just a wild time. But I feel like I like having all 3 books, especially because I plan on rereading at least one of them. So they are a pack. Plus, they're all paperbacks, so they all sit really nicely together. Next is really hard. Next is the Taskmaster 220 Extraordinary Tasks for Ordinary People, which is the Taskmaster activity book. I've done a few of them, and during lockdown, I did the Bookish Taskmaster, which was a really fun event, and it had Drinking by Your Shelf as our resident Greg Davis, and it also had like some really, really fun people on it. I don't think I will ever organise something like that again, purely okay, it's rough. Someone else hosted something similar the following year, and the person that hosted it the following year had copied a few of my video ideas immediately after me posting them, like within 2 weeks of me posting them. And once or twice is maybe a coincidence. When it's 3 or 4 times, so I don't watch that content creator anymore, and it's left a bad taste in my mouth for doing Taskmaster again. Now that's not to say that I don't love Taskmaster. I do love Taskmaster as a show, as a concept. I think it's brilliant. I don't think I will need this, because I don't think I will do anything like this. Unless I do it for Christmas. Do we do a Christmas Taskmaster? No, we're too quiet at Christmas. We're not a Taskmaster at Christmas kind of family. We're more of an Only Connect kind of Christmas at family. No, I'm going to pass. I'm umming and ahhing about it, which means I don't absolutely love it. If I Marie Kondo'd this and I held it and I accepted that the joy that it has brought me has brought me joy, I'm ready to let it go. This is a pass. I am passing. Okay, next we have Andy Toksvik's Almanac for 2021. This is another one that I fully intend to reread because there are so many interesting historical women in this, and I want to write books about all of them. And I want to write books inspired by all of them. So I'm going to need to keep this for research reasons. So if I was to flick through, an almanac is essentially a dated collection of information. So this is an almanac all about women specifically in history that got completely ignored by men. There are some men in this, but rarely. And it essentially every single day is an interesting fact about someone achieving something or being born on that day that is relevant to history. So, for example, on the 25th of April 1920, Sofia Ionescu Orogrezinu, I'm hoping I'm not butchering that, a Romanian neurosurgeon and one of the first female neurosurgeons in the world, was born. Became a doctor after a school friend died due to infection after brain surgery. During the bombing of Bucharest in 1944, she was forced to perform emergency brain surgery on an injured boy due to the lack of medical staff. Her career as a neurosurgeon spanned 47 years. So, love that. Yes. Pack. We've also got We've also got Black and British by David Olusoga. I read this relatively recently and then immediately got tested on it when I got caught in a really interesting conversation about racism in Britain. I need to reread this because it's so massive and it's so full of information, and it is a really dry historical fiction that I feel like it's worth rereading. This was a secondhand copy, you can tell by the sheer bent spineness of it, so I'm not too worried about it getting beaten up whilst I reread it, but I feel like I need to reread this one, so I am keeping Black and British. Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay is one that I reference quite a lot in videos where I end up talking about feminism or racism. It's a really interesting take on both and what the idea of what a bad feminist is, and especially someone with that intersectionality, remember that this time, intersectionality of both. And I really, really enjoy Roxane Gay's writing style. I fully intend to read more books by Roxane Gay, so I'm going to keep this one for now. Do I want it to be the same height as my other non-fictions? Yes, I do. But it isn't, and that is the cross that I will continue to bear. Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall is another one that I'm keeping because it is another one that I recommend for both looking at feminism and racism and the intersectionality between. I think a lot of really interesting feminist books are very white-centric and we need to read more widely. This is one that I would recommend. There is no way I'm getting rid of this book. Mud, Smaller Mascara by Catherine Spencer. Catherine Spencer was the captain when England won their Grand Slam. She is also a personal friend of mine and an absolute babe. This is a book all about the kind of misogyny that she experienced whilst playing rugby, but also her memoir and her life in rugby. She is an icon, she is a feminist, and if you don't believe me when I say that she is a bestie of mine, not that you wouldn't believe me, but that is me in a prom dress and trainers, whilst everyone else is wearing boots, because I forgot my boots, because of course I forgot my boots. And that is Spencer in red. What a lady. What a lady. So no, never getting rid of this, never passing on this. Packed. Next is another one that I very recently read, and if you have seen my mid-year panic, you will know that I absolutely adored Just Ignore Him by Alan Davis. This is one that actually, as far as memoirs go, it's probably going to be my most highly recommended memoir because it's beautiful, it's poignant, it's well written, it's funny, it looks at trauma, it looks at child abuse, it's things that should have triggered me but were handled with such delicacy and care of writing that I would happily reread anything else Alan Davis writes. So that is packed. I do feel like we've gone down from like 2/3 to maybe half, which is not bad, with a couple more to go. I have Angela Saini's Inferior. Now I also used to have Superior, but I lent that to somebody and we're not friends anymore, so I'm never getting that back. And then I also want to get Patriarchy in a paperback as well. So I have to bear that in mind, that this isn't just one book I'm keeping, I'm getting 2 more so that I have the full collection. So Inferior is a really sharp look at misogyny and where we get this idea, where does misogyny come from? And Superior is very similar in the fact it's like, well, when it comes to social sciences, where does racism come from? Where does misogyny come from? And then Patriarchy is a really interesting look at how patriarchy is constructed, but also how it is maintained. I really enjoy Angela Saini's style of writing in the fact that it is a very critical and precise non-fiction with some anecdotes, but this is definitely on the drier end of the scale when it comes to non-fiction. But I would absolutely recommend, just to make yourself a better person, read more books like this. Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race was a really interesting read by Renee Edo Lodge. Will I reread it? I think what I liked about this one is the fact that it looked at racism in Britain as opposed to in America. A lot of the racism books I read are about American racism. I don't know if they just sell better or if I just see them more often. So I think I'm going to keep this for now. We're going to keep this. If I find a book that I feel represents that better in the future, great. If not, it is a really good book to recommend. It is a really good book to recommend. I then also have What Would Boudica Do?, which is by E. Foley and B. Coates. This is a self-help book, but also a historical non-fiction, where it looks at interesting women from history and what we can learn from them as life advice. It was really funny. It was really good and really fascinating. And I thought I had more E. Foley books. I know I've got... So on my TBR, I've got Shakespeare for Grown-Ups by the same people, and I feel like I'm going to really enjoy this one. 1, because it's about Shakespeare, and 2, because it's a really interesting writing style. Do I need to keep this one, though? Do I start a mini collection? Because I feel like I did, there was a Goddesses one they did, that I did as an audiobook, and I think I preferred it as an audiobook. This one will pack. This one I'm keeping. I love a book about Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare, and I really enjoy their writing style. Do I need this? Am I likely to reread this? I feel like this is very similar to this, but because there's more in this, this, weirdly, feels more value for money than this does, shelf space wise. This is a firm maybe. If I can find space for it. If I can find space for it, I will keep it. If I cannot, then I will not. And then I have this tiny little thing, which is the production assistant handbook, which is what I was recommended to get if I wanted to work on set. And then I never did that. So that can go. I don't need this. Okay, so we're now down to half, which is good. I've already put one aside. We have The 5 by Hayley Rubenhold on my TBR. Now, this one was on hold to me, I think, by Olivia. I have had this on my TBR before and didn't get to it. I think I thought it was a thriller and it's actually non-fiction, about the 5 women that were killed by Jack the Ripper. And I've been told it's really good. So I'm going to keep this. This is a pack. Okay, this I've had since before my YouTube started. I have had this book, the DK Book of Mythology, since before YouTube started for me. And it is an encyclopedia. Have I ever picked it up? Have I ever read it? Have I any interest in reading it? I don't know why I still have this. It's weighty. I feel like I should, but do I want to? Oh, that's another maybe. But I'm more erring on the side of passing on that one. I have Mad and Bad by B. Koch, which is about women in the Renaissance era being absolute rebels. Here for that, gonna read that. We'll absolutely get around to reading that. I have The Creative Arts by Rick Rubin. This was recently gifted to me by my mother-in-law. So thank you very much, Tara, for this. This is about being creative and what it means to be creative and building up creativity. As it's a gift and as it's relatively recent, we are finding space for this on the shelf. Okay, next on my list is Eliza Scheslinger's Girl Logic. This was gifted to me again before BookTube, and I read half of it and then couldn't find it, and I counted it as read even though I never finished it. This was gifted to me by my sister-in-law. I am going to keep it. Even though I've not read it and not picked it up and not even found an excuse to read it, I'm going to read it and I'm going to pack it because I think I've been really into memoirs by comedians specifically that I feel like I need more. I just need to read more. I will read more. This is something that I enjoy reading, and so far she's outnumbered 2-1 on male books that I'm keeping, so we need more women. Next on my TBR is Your Wild and Precious Life by Liz Jensen, which is a book about grief. I don't think I actually got this for myself. I think I got this for my mum to read because she used to be a celebrant, and well, she is a celebrant and she used to do funerals, and she's fascinated by the concept of grief. I think that's why I got it, because I don't think this is something I would have chosen for myself. So I'm going to put this over here because I think this is for her, and if it isn't for her, I don't think I want to read it. I don't think I'm in a place where I want to read books about grief, so we're going to pass on that one. Then I have Page Boy by Elliot Page, which is about their trans journey. Another one that I need to read. I'm really looking forward to this one. I've heard really, really good things. If it's a celebrity memoir, I prefer them to be comedians over just general celebrities, and I don't tend to keep them, as you've seen. I do tend to do them as audiobooks, but I'm really intrigued to see what this one can provide in the way of like personal growth and narrative. I then have The Glass Cliff, Why Women in Power Are Undermined and How to Fight Back by Sophie Williams. This is a March release arc that I have not yet got to, non-fiction about feminism in the workplace, and I think that's going to be a really, really interesting read. So we're keeping that one. We are packing that one. And then I have Tyrant, another Shakespeare book by Stephen Greenblatt, which is Shakespeare on Power, which I really should read this summer, seeing as I'm teaching Macbeth in September. That is definitely a pack. This is Always Take Notes, Advice from World's Greatest Writers, edited by Simon Acom and Rachel Lloyd. This is essentially a collection of like paragraphs by different authors on different topics about writing and what they do. What I liked about it is such an array of different authors that you can kind of do it in bite-sized chunks. It's kind of similar to the Toxic Almanac. What I said in the original recording is I do plan on reading it. I don't plan on keeping it once I've read it. I don't think this is something, also it's filthy, this is not something that I think I would reread. So I'm keeping it, I'm packing it for now, but if I can read it before I move to Kent, that'd be even better. And then my last non-fiction on my TBR is Rise Up by Stormzy. And again, we have the same issue with celebrity memoirs. I've actually TBR'd this multiple times and never picked it up. And I just don't know if I will. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Stormzy's music. I like the idea that he's quite the hustler. I don't know if I care enough about him. It's such a maybe. Because I don't think I'd ever prioritise it to read it over other things. I think I could TBR it every month and I still wouldn't prioritise getting to it. No, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. I think there's a lot of merit to this book and I've not even read it, and I think there's going to be someone out there that will appreciate having it more than I do. I am passing. Okay, so that does mean I have space for both of these on this shelf. But I wonder if I'm going to have it, coming back to it and thinking about the ruthlessness of packing all this stuff. Realistically, I feel like I'm going to have the same issue with this one that I had with the Stormzy one, which is I can TBR it till Kingdom Come. I am not going to prioritise it over anything else that I read. Like, I would not pick this up over any of these right now. Like, if you were like, pick a book and read, it's not going to be this one. And therefore, I think I need to pass. I think this needs to be a pass. Whereas, at least with What Would Buddha Could Do, I can absolutely see myself recommending this to people in the future. Like, I absolutely can. So, this leaves space. Actually, quite a nice bit of space, actually. So, with my TBR on there as well, we still have space, which is great. I'm not going to fill this with other things. I'm just going to pack these as is, because I also have like trinkets and things that I put on shelves, and also my partner wants to put his Lego on my shelves, so I'm not rushing to fill gaps just yet. I do have things that will fill this gap. I think as far as non-fiction goes, this is a good collection of things that I've read and really enjoyed and things that I'm looking forward to reading. I think it covers a wide variety of topics. Could it be more varied? Yes, that's what this gap is for, and that's how I'm going to view it. So I'm seeing this as a triumph. There you go. First pack it or pass it. These are your survivors. I would pick up the ones that are not surviving, but alas, they've fallen on the floor. So let me know in the comments down below, what non-fiction book would you recommend? Once I am safely tucked in my new home, what books can I fill this gap with? If you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you were here, feel free to leave something black or white. Treat yourself to something from Waypoint Books because it supports me and my content. Check out the links down below because I have a Patreon now. And most importantly, have a nice day.